Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 101 today for the Japanese Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous episode, Grand Prix number 100, then definitely go check that one out before you see this one. It was a crucial race for the team, but it was obviously a special moment. You know, 100 Grand Prix on any F1 game in the career mode is quite some accomplishment. And, well, we were able to round off Grand Prix 100 with an emphatic 1-2 for the team. It got a bit close at the end there. Crucially, we had to try and be number one, not just settle for number two, to try and close the gap to Jenson Button and reduce the points gap there. We did so, but that didn't stop Button taking the lead of the championship. Leclerc had a race to forget with a huge spin in that race, of course, and yeah, so he sits in second place, only 1 point ahead of us, so we really closed the gap actually to Leclerc. And remember, going into that Grand Prix, we said it was desperation times because we had to do well in Grand Prix 100 because Leclerc had such a commanding lead with only 4 races to go. Now, with 3 races to go, things are a little bit different. Things are closer, but Button now is the one with a slight cushion and advantage, and Tsunoda has really fallen out of sync of us top 3. You know, he's there in P4, but no points for him along with Leclerc, but he also desperately needed to score points in that Canadian Grand Prix to continue the momentum he had. I mean, he just won the previous Grand Prix at Zandvoort, and 1 race later, it's looking pretty bleak for him in the championship, so we're going to have to see how it goes. And we go into Suzuka. Well, it's always a bit of a chaotic Grand Prix, but with rain added here on Saturday, even more so, but it really feels the first time now, feels proper tense, you know. We've had Grand Prix 100, we've got that milestone away, but now, really, it gets to the nitty-gritty, because we've, like I said, only got 3 races to go, including this one. Technically, obviously, we've got the sprint at Brazil as well, so there's 4 races, but 1 sprint, 3 Grand Prix, and it is very much crunch time. The final 3 Grand Prix weekends on this entire game before the series ends, the game cycle ends, and we put our attention towards F1 24 with a new world of driver career mode rather than my team. So let's try and round it out in the best possible way. We're going to try our best here in these very tricky conditions, pouring down with rain here at Suzuka. Full wet tyres needed. The first lap was good enough to go ahead of Button, but we gained massively on the second lap to go up to P4, but we're still quite a ways off. Whoever's up there in P1, I think it honestly may be the home favourite, Tsunoda, right up there, and we tried to do better on the third and final flying lap, but we had a bit of a mistake there. It happens in these kind of conditions, so we have to bail out of that, and we actually go again for what is, well, now this will be our actually fully 3rd flying lap, but it's actually my 4th attempt at the circuit, and eventually we do find a bit more time, 1.1 seconds in fact, and that's still not enough to go P1 because Tsunoda was absolutely blitzing the field there, but we're close to him. 0.026, that is great. Both myself and Tsunoda in a world of our own, but the track was evolving quite rapidly. Leclerc up there in P5, Button struggling a bit in P12, but like I said, the track was evolving, and it continues to evolve because as we start Q2, it's intermediates right now, but I'm just spectating because actually, by the time we get going, my team actually, the menu popped up for a second there, you may have not seen it, but my team basically recommended me to switch to the dry tyre, which I did. It looks very, very wet still, but it's that odd thing on F1 23 where we've had it since the launch of this game last year, where it looks this wet, but the grip is actually enough for the slick tyres. So we're going to mosey on. We've got under 5 minutes to go, and we've fueled ourselves up for 2 flying laps. And although there definitely was extra grip, it was still quite tricky to have confidence in pushing the car when the track looks this wet. You know, visually, it just plays tricks with your eyes. So we've gone second. Tsunoda's still set a quicker lap time than me on intermediate, so we really need to try and push the boat out on this second flying lap, and we do so. We go purple in the first sector, green in the middle, purple the last, and we gain over 1 second to go top. But the problem is, everyone else is still going out there. I do not have enough fuel to keep going, and so all we can do is go back to the garage and watch the times tumble, and we are out. That is a howler. the genius of our engineers telling us to switch early to the soft tyres, it looked like a stroke of genius at first. You'd think that, it happens in real life sometimes, but like in real life, you then have the track evolution, and the track evolution was so dramatic that everyone went so much quicker, and I'm out. But although, look at that, Tsunoda, he's up there, but he's got a 5-place penalty. Leclerc is top, Jensen just squeezes through, so my 3 rivals in the championship are through into the top 10, but Tsunoda, the man who needs to gain the most, is on the back foot with 5-place penalties, but I'm also on the back foot massively. We're out in P14. After a great GP100, we've had a bit of a blunder operationally, and now we go to the grid to find out the top 10 and get this comeback underway.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Gasly, Théo Pourchaire, Tsunoda, Joe, Button, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Sargent, the owner driver, Perez, Drugovich, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Liam Lawson, Albon, Norris, Fittipaldi, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
So it ended up being a very good day in the office at the end of Saturday for the Audi team. They lock out another front row, but once again, will they actually convert it to a race win? They are yet to win a single race in this season, and yet Leclerc is here in this championship fight. And funny enough, Tsunoda, even with the 5-place penalty, has qualified higher than Button, alluding to maybe that once again this car is back to maybe being on the back foot. Remember, we had quite a few difficult races before the last one, GP100, where our car just really felt awful, and it was almost like a Brawn GP style thing where we were dominating, looking so strong at the start of the season. We had a really rocky patch. It was a good return to form at Montreal, but the My Team car and I have always gone well there. Japan, historically, actually has been a difficult one for the My Team car. So, let's see. We're elevated to P12 because of other people having penalties, so that's at least one thing as we go to 5 red lights. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. We're on the way. Lights out, and it's a slow start for Sainz on the front row. Oh, my God. We nearly get collected by the traffic jam that was ensuing behind Carlos Sainz's car. That's why we highlighted him. He basically didn't get off the line on the racing line side of the grid, and that was a domino effect. We had to take avoiding action because we almost DNF'd on the Andretti's rear end. We're now fighting George Russell, who's really getting in the mix. He taps us on the rear end. There's damage behind for Lawson, and that's going to be a virtual safety car. But my oh my, that was a horrendous getaway. I mean, it was a good launch for me, but then that entire faff with all the cars bunching up together behind Carlos Sainz on the left-hand side of the grid. I mean, I'm lucky to still be in the Grand Prix. That's at least one thing, but we're down to P19. We gained positions because of grid penalties up to P12. We lost it all on that start. And Tsunoda, the home favourite, gained a lot on that race start. Look at how slow Sainz is. Oh my God, that's going to be the worst start ever for any driver on this game, period. That was awful. Tsunoda's up to P3 then. So he pretty much negates his penalty. And look at that. Look at the chaos that Sainz is ensuing there. You can see me in the background having to take avoiding action onto the grass. And this is why. Oh my God. That's mere pixels, by the way. That's mere pixels. And I would have been crunching into the back of that Andretti. So virtual safety cars come in at this point, obviously, as we cut back to the live action, looking to try and finally overtake Russell. We really get the elbow out there on purpose because he really annoyed me in Sector 1 just before the virtual safety car when he hit me on the rear to overtake me. And now we're going to send it on Albon, and Kevin Magnussen catch the Williams napping a little bit. We still have to get the job done, though, on the exit because the Gulf Williams car, not too bad, you know. It's recently been a bit better along with the Andretti car, you've got to say. So Magnussen gives us a fair fight on the exit. We really have to work for it to actually fully squeeze him out. And now we set our sights on Piastri and Ocon and a load of other cars that we really should be getting past quite rapidly. But it's going to be difficult because a lot of these guys have been quite scrappy recently, especially these Andrettis. You know, we just avoided a crash on lap 1 with them, but remember, you know, the races like Monza, Austria, where they've been so, you know, annoying to us. Even last race in Montreal, Logan Sargent really gave us a good squeeze. They've been gaining confidence, the Andrettis have. Meanwhile, up at the sharp end, Tsunoda goes for P2, that is, on Pierre Gasly as we overtake Perez on the main straight. Oh no, Tsunoda's locked up and he's thrown it all away. Tsunoda was up to P2 for a split second, but he's locked up and now he's down to P5. Wow, what a roller coaster this race has been then. So it's Gasly back up to P2, Sainz in P3. Tsunoda now is behind Button, who's up to P4, as we make a move on Ocon for P13. Yeah, long day ahead of us, long day. Lap 4 only though, so still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. But it's yeah, all my rivals are in the top 5, and I'm down here. I'm still catching back up to where I started this race, remember? P12 was the grid slot. Drugovic is going to basically just hand us the position. I don't know if he got told there's no point fighting that. Kind of looked like it. Very realistic, actually, to real life, because a Haas car wouldn't fight me that much, knowing who was up behind him, as we see Sainz now making a crucial overtake to make it a bit of a uncomfortable 1-2 for Audi now. As we continue our charge on lap 5 towards 130R, Schumacher v Sargent. We have to be very careful because Schumacher is busy fighting Sargent, and I had a little thought to go down the inside of the Andretti ahead of us, but I just remembered how aggressive Sargent's been with us for the last few episodes. Honestly, I did not think I was going to be going wheel to wheel with Logan Sargent, the Andretti Cadillac, this much this season, but there you have it. We go for another move there, up to P10, finally in the points-paying positions. Now having a look at Bottas, who gives us no room on the inside. We go to the racing line then to get up to P9, and now behind our old teammate Théo Pourchaire, but it's Leclerc from Sainz, a 1-2 for Audi. Leclerc has a rear gunner then in the form of Carlos Sainz, as Button makes a great little overtake on Pierre Gasly to get up into P3. Tsunoda now hanging back after that mistake he made in P5, maybe a flat spot on his tyre, of course, as we now make quick work of Théo Pourchaire. It doesn't give us too much of a bother. It's almost like he's kind of almost waving us through because he's not in the championship fight. Although saying that, on the exit, I don't have the best exit, and actually Pourchaire comes back at me, so maybe he wasn't being kind. Maybe I just did so well on the chicane, but then on the exit into the final quarter, not so much. But ahead of us, Zhou Guanyu, he definitely won't make it easy for us. He's Tsunoda's teammate, and we've seen that in the past, actually, in this season, that Zhou Guanyu has put up a real big fight in order to try and hold up rivals of his teammate, basically. And Verstappen, well, he just races for himself, so that's going to be a tough opponent to overtake as we look to try and make up positions and finally recover in this race to a near enough good position, I would say. But obviously we want more. You need to overtake our rivals to try and gain points, you know. We've only got 2 race weekends after this, so we cannot settle for damage limitation in this race. And we continue to press on with Zhou Guanyu going defensive, but we use Verstappen to pull us along with Slipstream. And now we go for the move on the Dutchman, round the outside, Verstappen defensive, we lock the rear end, and then Zhou Guanyu comes in with the kamikaze tap and just slows us up a bit. I was surprised he didn't put up much of a fight on the overtake we did on him, but there you go. Having overtaken him, then he puts up a fight to try and take us out of the race almost. As we now go, it's deja vu again on the outside of Verstappen. This time we stay on the outside. We get the elbow out and we have a little bit of a tango with the Dutchman, but we get up into P6. And now we set our sights on maybe even harder man to overtake, Pierre Gasly, our arch nemesis in this game. But it seems we had the pace over Lamborghini because Pourchaire really did not have any sort of thing to defend against us. As Button comes in, Leclerc's in as well. It's an early pit stop for the two rivals of ours versus Tsunoda and myself. Then, so it's me and Tsunoda staying out. Leclerc and Button coming in. We overtake Gasly, and Sainz, Tsunoda and myself actually stay out for another whole lap, and now only on lap 13 then, so 2 laps after Leclerc and Button have come in, do we come in. So 2 laps of undercut for them, but remember, that's 2 laps of better tyre wear for us on the next set of tyres. So let's see how this shakes out then, but we're all in now, so it's going to be all change. Everyone's made their first pit stops. Oh, safety car! What? As soon as we came into the pit box, there's a safety car. What does that mean for... Oh, where are... Oh, Leclerc and Button have already passed us. They passed us. Of course, I'm not that surprised about that because they had an undercut, obviously, on us. But, okay, to be fair, the safety car maybe helped us a little bit because maybe more cars would have overtaken us You know, Leclerc and Button ahead. I expected them to be ahead, but maybe other cars could have been ahead of us if it wasn't for the safety car slowing them down. So myself, Tsunoda and Sainz maybe gained a little bit, to be fair, from the safety car being out for half the pit stop that we had. But it's Button in the lead then that gets us underway. He's actually overtaken Leclerc then, I think maybe just in the pit stops, to be honest. So he leads the way then. The championship leader leads this race. Leclerc second, Sainz third. Tsunoda and myself, we need to get a move on. We need to get past Sainz and then start to attack Leclerc and JB. But right now, Button is in the driving seat. He's got the points advantage and he's leading this race. This could be massive for Button if he goes on to win this one. Can we do anything along with Tsunoda to charge up and at least get past Sainz, who's a bit of a bottleneck, I guess, and like I said, a rear gunner for Leclerc as we squeeze Tsunoda to the inside there and get the move. And Tsunoda doesn't put up much of a fight, but I suspect Tsunoda feels we have more pace at the moment and we could help him overtake cars ahead of us, because we're going to go for a dive on the inside of Carlos Sainz, roll it in, use the curb to good effect on the exit. He's still there, but we do get the exit with a bit of battery use. We're up to P3. Sainz does come back at us a little bit, so we go defensive, but ultimately we're going to hold the inside line, hold the racing line then through the next two apexes and remain in third place, I hope. But now the run down to 130R is going to be a bit precarious, and there goes Tsunoda on the inside. We have to go defensive and cover off the inside for both the cars. We're defending two cars at once as Tsunoda looks to overtake Carlos Sainz. Will he do this on the outside? Oh, bit of contact there, but the Japanese driver gets up into P4. It's a crucial move for Tsunoda. And now on lap 18, what did I tell you? He was basically using me to get past Sainz, because now, all of a sudden, he's quick enough to overtake me here. Side by side through 130R, battery use all the way down, but Tsunoda has this speed in the Honda-powered Aston Martin, of course. Not just a home favourite, but the engine supplier. The home engine supplier here today, powering him through. He's up to P3. We've actually been done a bit in the chicane. We got really squeezed, and so you can see the background having to weave about a bit to try and stop Sainz attacking us. Meanwhile, still Button in the lead, but Leclerc within a second, and now Tsunoda creeping in. And all of a sudden, there's a big DRS train now, because obviously Button has no DRS off anyone, and we all do on him, as Tsunoda now looking to make the pass on Leclerc. He is starting to cook once again in this race, maybe. Oh no, Leclerc defends well and puts the lid on that cooking pot for now. But for how long? Because remember, look at that, Leclerc, he's on mediums. Did you notice that? The rest of us on hards. So maybe at some point Leclerc's tyres wear a bit more than us, as we now go for the move on Tsunoda. Leclerc, speaking of, goes for the move on Jenson Button as we close up behind. We couldn't quite make the move on JB because I was very worried about hitting Leclerc, because the AI slow up so much at turn 1, and we've had it in the past where we get brake checked basically, so you have to be very careful when you're so close to them. But we at least get the repass on Tsunoda, so we've really taken him off the boil. He was starting to warm up, but now he's back down to P4. But Leclerc, oh my days, as we talked about him struggling with tyres, no. Leclerc wakes up a bit. He's now into the lead. Could this finally be his time to win a Grand Prix? Well, we're trying to do our best to at least maybe help him out a tiny bit here by fighting our teammate, but I don't want to help him. I actually want to overtake Button. We've done that now, and now I want to go and get Leclerc because I want to try and maximise the points. We've got only 2 race weekends, of course, like I said, after this, so there's no funny business here. We need to try and maximise everything we can, as Tsunoda is thinking the same, and he goes for the move on Button. All of a sudden, the previous race leader might be down to P4 here as we look to maybe make a pass on Leclerc. Ooh, he absolutely slams the door on us. Fair play. That was a good bit of defensive work there from Leclerc. He kind of opened up the inside and then completely shut it on me, to the point where I actually lost a decent amount of time there. We have to actually use DRS on the main straight just to pull back to him. And we're going to have to wait till after 130R again to try and make a move. This time, we're going to go to the outside now. Big lunge. Lock up on the right front, though. No, we've made a big mistake there. Leclerc, we need to give the position back to him. But Tsunoda, oh, cheeky. Tsunoda follows him through. And he's pulled my pants down. We're down to P3. We're defending Button. But Tsunoda has just finessed. Well, all of us. Oh, bit of contact, though. Bit of contact with Leclerc. Tsunoda's completely finessed a lot of us. The home favourite leads the Japanese Grand Prix. And it's because of my mistake there. I had to let Leclerc by. And he just followed Leclerc through. And now also maybe giving him damage. I'm not too sure. But this is the replay then. And the camera... That's actually hilarious. That was like an office cut camera. It literally couldn't track us as we went off circuit. This is Leclerc's POV. So he's defending the inside. And yeah, I just lock up on the front right. Go straight on. I give him the position, which is fair enough. But what you're not seeing there is, yeah, there you go. Tsunoda has just stuck to his rear end and followed him through and then made the move. That is actually 100 million IQ from Tsunoda there to make that pass. And then, maybe not intentionally, but what happens is he breaks Leclerc's front wing, I think, his end plate. There are only 3 laps to go, so Leclerc is going to defend this with all he can. And you can see here, we're moving about and we can't get past him. And little did I know, actually, in all of this, I couldn't comprehend how he was defending me so well and why I felt so slow. I've got damage. I've also got damage. I don't know where it came from. Potentially, I'm either thinking it was when Leclerc shut the door on us, you know, at the last chicane, or maybe even when I got too close to him for comfort when he made that first initial pass on Button for the lead. But it means we've got damage. Tsunoda wins the Japanese Grand Prix, and it's been the battle of the absolute lemons here. Both of us with front wing damage. Tsunoda ends up 20 seconds ahead, but can we make a last-ditch move? Yes, we can! On Leclerc. And crucially, Leclerc will stay P3 to take away points from Button. So that's actually ideal for us. You know, the maximum we could have hoped for there again was P2 after the damage we got. But it was actually crucial for us that Leclerc stayed in the race and stayed there in third because it takes points away from Button in P4.
And an incredible win for Aston Martin. A brilliant performance. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's Grand Prix. And there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result.
It's been a roller coaster for Tsunoda. He wins the Dutch Grand Prix, no points in the last race, and now goes back to winning ways at his home Grand Prix. What a win for Tsunoda at Japan with a Honda-powered Aston Martin. In the championship, things get close. 12 points now. Tsunoda is away from P1. The top 3 separated by only 3 points going to the final 2 rounds. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.